So good morning, everyone. This is Depelsha Magruder. I am in Brooklyn, and I have two sons who are 9 and 6. And I want to thank you all for joining the call this Saturday. It is our last call of the year. And if you are new and it's your first time, it's actually a great call to join because we're going to go through a review of not everything, but almost everything, a lot of our activities over the past year, just to give you a sense of the scope of the organization and what we're focused on. And we will also talk about initiatives for next year and goals. Okay, so first we will start. Nashiba Star, I know, is in transit. I don't know if you can hear me. If you have an inspirational quote to share, please let us know.
Yes, I do. Hi.
Okay, wonderful.
Can you guys hear me? Yes. Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited. I'm in transit. I really wanted to make sure I was on this call. I'm a little teary-eyed as I think of how much we've accomplished this year and how hard so many of us have worked and continue to work for the mission and Depelsha. We continuously thank you for your leadership and your wherewithal to just push and keep grinding. And so I thought today would be really great to start the quote reminding us of the responsibility is important, but also taking a moment to relish in the accomplishments. And you guys are going to experience some of what that was like for this year. And so today's quote is by Leonardo da Vinci, and it says, "It had long since come to my attention that people of accomplishment rarely sat back and let things happen to them. They went out and happened to things." So as we look forward to keep thriving and pushing and keep happening to things, I salute you all. Have a great call.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Next, we have a recap of our previous meeting by Tammy Greer-Brown.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
The call started at 34 a.m. and it was an opening quote by Nashiba Star, and the minutes were read by me. Frankie spoke about from the policy committee, spoke about some of the things that were going on, including the current calls to action, which is first the Lindo Jones situation, because speaking about that, we were involved in the coalition work with Lindo Jones, who was handcuffed and taken to the hospital after being shot twice and denied counsel, as well as access to his family. Peggy from Texas was representing Mob U, and we need our members to take part of this initiative. Please engage in this call to action. Patrick Harmon, who was detained by the Salt Lake City police when he was riding his bike, was not a threat when he was shot by police for riding his bike without a tail light on his bike, and while he was running, he was actually shot by law enforcement and killed. There's no action from the city attorney, and the complaint board has no authority to push this issue forward, and we'd like Mob United members to call the Utah State Attorney General's office and demand an investigation into this issue. We're working on legislative platform for 2018. The committee is developing a summary statement to be used with coalitions and partners who share our platform in 2018 so we can partner with them. We will identify key states where there are key issues to discuss, and we will need assistance from our general membership and participation from our over 180,000 followers to be able to work on some of these issues and concerns. We also have an electoral advocacy plan that we will participate in each quarter, and it will complement what we are doing with engagement. Depelsha called for the need of volunteer leaders, and Lisa from Chapter Development discussed searching for city leaders, as well as what the requirements were to be a city leader, and also discussed about the Mom and Son MLK Day of Service in January, which will be from January 6th through January 28th, 2018. Nashiba Star spoke about the spoke about the fall into self-care, the activities that are being done, the weekly intentions, SELF, which the acronym stands for Synchronize, Encourage Liveliness and Fulfillment. The initiative ends actually this next week. Please post videos and pictures, and the coloring contest is still going on for anyone who wants to participate. Chris from fundraising wants you to help with the a fundraising event, if you can host one in your area. Spoke about the Tuesday as National Giving Day, the first one that the organization has participated in. Our speakers were introduced by Kamari, who's Education and Engagement Chair, Katie Ishizuka, and Raymond Steffens, co-founders of the Conscious Kid Library, who we have partnered with for books with Black boys and supporting Black boys' images. Conscious Kids is an education and research and policy organization dedicated to reducing bias and promoting positive identity in the development of youth. And just some highlights from that conversation. They curated a list for Mob United to celebrate the partnership regarding Black boys. The books that are vetted are for ages between 0 to 18. They include chapter books, picture books, graphic novels, and they had a list of suggestions of 25 books, but she highlighted a few of them. Crown and Ode to the Fresh Cut, Malcolm Little, Before John Was a Jazz Giant, The Book Itch, Lullabies, and The Hate You Give. These all featured Black authors and Black illustrators. Also talked about some of the statistical data of our books with Black characters. Only 8% of our books have Black characters, and 3 out of 4 of the Black children's books that are written by white authors. Last year, only 2% of the books for Black children were written and illustrated by Black authors and Black illustrators. And they want to increase the number of Black publishers because white voices are getting preference to tell Black stories over Black people telling stories. And the benefits of Black literacy are racial pride, improved academic outcomes, and improved cognitive outcomes and health, student resilience. It buffers the impact of racial discrimination, allowing students to continue to persist. Increased graduation rates, increased motivation, increased college-going rates, and positive identity and racial pride. We want to see an increase in the number of Blacks in publishing. We want to shift in the policymakers, and we are developing an ethnic diversity curriculum to put into schools. And we worked with they worked with the National Education Association about research on anti-Blackness in their Read Across America Day, and the NEA has shifted their focus on readers of colors and authors of color. It was followed by a Q&A, and then the closing prayer by Nashiva Star, and the call ended at 11:02. And that's it.
Thank you, Tammy.
Ladies.
You too. So next, I will give a brief overview of our purpose and mission before we go into the year in review. So our mission and purpose, we have 2 organizations. Moms of Black Boys United is a 501c3 whose mission is to provide information and support for moms of Black sons and also to promote positive images of Black boys and men. Our 501c4 is our advocacy organization, Mob United for Social Change, and its mission is to influence policy at the local, state, and federal level that impacts how Black boys and men are treated by law enforcement and in society. So next page, we have a 5-point approach to how we go about this. Number 1 is to influence policy. 2 is to change perception of our sons. 3 is to demonstrate our power, both politically and economically. 4 is to partner strategically with like-minded organizations and individuals. And 5 is to promote self-care. To make sure that we're all always healthy and whole as we go about this work. So with that, I will go into the year in review. I will top line most of it, and you'll hear people chiming in throughout the presentation. And if you have any questions, just post them in chat, or you can ask them at the end of the presentation. So first up, we launched our membership platform. So if you are not a member, I will start by saying we encourage you to join today by going to mobunited.org. The join page is mobunited.org/join. But there we have a great platform where we house all of our documents, so all of the presentations from these calls, all of our organizational documents. You can join groups across, your geographic location, by areas of interest. It's kind of like our own private portal with Facebook. We also collect donations there. Our online store is there. So everything all in one place. But big shout out to Beth, who's actually running this presentation right now, who led that project in identifying our partner vendor and helped to launch the entire platform at mobunited.org. So that was a really big deal because, as you know, we started on Facebook and grew rapidly on Facebook, but really didn't want to be dependent on Facebook long term because you just never know what's going to happen with that platform. especially now with net neutrality rules, who knows like what's going to happen on the internet. So we wanted to have our own space that we owned it and could control the dynamics on more. So technology was a big deal for us. Next page. We kicked off the year. Our first call last year was a virtual vision board party that was hosted by vision board guru Lucinda Cross Otiti. And it was a great experience where we collected our materials in advance and actually created vision boards for the year with our sons. Mine are still displayed in my house, and I refer back to them often, but it was a great experience just to talk about our hopes and dreams collectively as a family through this experience. And here you just see a couple of examples of the vision boards that were created. That's mine and my son's. Okay, next page. We also had our first MLK Day of Service. So this is where moms and sons volunteer together in different cities. You can go to the next page, Beth. And actually, I'm going to turn this over to Lisa Spriggs to talk about it, but I would just say, am I getting an echo again?
No, I can't see
so
the
more
screen.
people. Oh, it's blank right now. Go to the next page. So I'll turn it over to Lisa, but I'll just say the purpose of this is to, one, bond in our communities, but also show our sons doing something positive in terms of changing perception. So Lisa, take it away.
So as you can see here, here we have listed some of the events that took place last year. We had our ladies in Brooklyn, New York. They did they created their own they created their own service project by stuffing envelopes for a nonprofit. Here we had also in Maryland, in Frederick County, I participated in a Gloria's Happy Hats, which is basically creating hats for cancer patients all over in various different hospitals. We also had ladies down in Dallas, Texas, who participated in a neighborhood beautification project. So these are just some of the projects that took place last year. We're hoping that all of you guys that are on this call this year, that you will help participate in your project this year. Just making a little note, for this year our projects are coming from our dates that we want to do this project in January are January 6th through the 21st. We know that MLK Day is in mid-January, and sometimes we can't get off on that Monday of MLK Day, so that's why we've expanded the time frame for you to participate in an event there. So if you're interested, please reach out to me and we can get you connected.
Thank you, Lisa, and thanks to everyone who participated. And we look forward to this year's activities, or next year, actually. Up next, we had an image campaign for Black History Month and Women's History Month called Moms on the Front Line. And with that campaign, we paid homage to moms of the civil rights movement, moms who were activists in general, who stood up for their rights while also raising their sons at the same time. It was people like Emmett Till's mom, Mamie Till Mobley, and also like Marion Wright Edelman, who I believe had 4 sons at the time that she started the Children's Defense Fund. We honored Afeni Shakur. So just a number of moms who were on the front line, because that's what we want to do. And the purpose of this is, one, to honor them, but also to provide inspiration for us to know that if they did it in the past, we can do it today. So it was a great campaign, and we thank the Creative Services team for putting it together. Next page, Mob Connections. Mob Connections is a program that connects sons who are away from home, in college primarily, with what we call aunties away from home. So Kamari, do you want to talk a little bit about this? Kamari, are you there?
Sorry about that. I was muted.
Okay.
How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you now.
Okay, great. So what we're trying to do is that we're trying to encourage more moms to let us know that their sons are going away to college. We have an Auntie Away from Home program. So we do have some moms that have connected to other moms whose sons are in their area. But we would love to know more moms who have sons going away to college in the springtime, well, in May, anyone who's graduating, who has a son that's graduating. I actually did add something even in the newsletter about how moms who have children who are in high school, the things that we should be doing currently so we can prepare our sons to go away to college. So if anyone has a son who's graduating in May or needs to be connected to an auntie in the area that he's going into, please connect with us at mobconnections@mobunited.org.
Thank you, Kumari. Up next, we also started this year our prayer, first Christian prayer calls. We'll get to meditation later. Yeshiva Star, are you on and able to talk? She may not be. No, she's in the subway and on the move. But basically, we started first weekly Christian prayer calls with Jawan Stewart and Kathy McCoy on Mondays at various times. And it's, a way for members to connect and share their concerns and with each other and also get direct prayer about their situations.
Oh, so sorry. You guys good?
Okay.
No. You just plugged it in. I'm talking and I forgot to unmute myself, but I think you pretty much covered it.
Right, because we'll talk about how it's evolved over time later when we get to the Falling Self-Care campaign.
So the prayer call initially, when we started our prayer calls, they were just some free conference calls, and we weren't getting as many people involved just because people were on the go and they didn't realize that it was going on, but we were constantly hearing people say to us they really would like a prayer call, and so the prayer calls started getting more traction. We had 2 prayer calls. Initially, they were on Mondays at 12, and then we also had them at 6, one at the Eastern time zone, one in the Central time zone, Pacific time zone. Our prayer leads are Jawan Stewart and Kathy McCoy, and they have just continued to do some really incredible work to assist members with being able to follow along. They do create a monthly prayer sheet that is equipped with scriptures so that each week you know exactly which scriptures they're going to cover and the theme, the overall theme. So really excited to inform you guys that call in itself has been really, I think, a blessing to a lot of people. People have said some really tremendous things on what they've gotten from it. Kathy and Jawan also take prayer requests. They also, they just have been doing some tremendous things. When I speak further on just how it has gone a little bit further with the Falling to Self-Care campaign when we get to that segment, you guys will be able to hear more about it. But the prayer calls it started off as something really small and then really has kind of taken on a life of its own and really been something that has been beneficial to a lot of members.
Right, definitely. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we also participated in the Women's March, which is one of the biggest marches in history in January 20th, that day that we will never forget, that forever changed the nation. So we had members in various cities who participated. If you can go to the next page, you would just see some of the images of our members participating in the Women's March in various cities. We had people in D.C., New York, L.A., Atlanta, and other cities as well. Next page. We also had a number of policy activations. You'll see this on an ongoing basis, and Delicia will be giving a more comprehensive overview of our activities throughout the year and our initiatives for next year in terms of policy and advocacy. But throughout this presentation, you'll see some of the things we did throughout the year. So we kicked off the year, in addition to speaking out at the Women's March about the election of the new president, by also opposing the nomination of Jeff Sessions and Betsy DeVos in both the Department of Justice and Education. So go to the next page. You see the Betsy DeVos graphic we created, and that's also when the call center first started to take action. I think that's on the next page. Chris, do you want to talk for a minute about the call center and the purpose and how it got started? Chris, are you there? Okay, so I'll keep going, but you see here, basically the call center is a group of moms who have agreed to make calls all day long when we have a call to action on a case, on wanting to push legislation. This is the script, as you see, for calling to oppose Jeff Sessions, but there are a number of instances where we've had the call center activate to call, police chiefs, mayors, city council members, whoever it may be who can make the decision in that case, that situation. We activate moms to call and put pressure to do the right thing. So this was one of the first activations for the call center. Chris is having trouble unmuting. But we'll move on. So another big thing for the first quarter was our leadership retreat. So most of you know we started on Facebook, and we have largely been a virtual organization. So most of us had never met in person, but we brought the leadership team of Mob United together in Bethany, Pennsylvania at the Mansion at Noble Lane for the first time to meet, to strategize. So one, it was about bonding and getting to know each other, but we'd also spent several days, talking about what we want to accomplish, our goals for the next year and for the next 3 years. And those are the things we've been focused on. What came out of it was image campaigns, a resource directory, which we'll talk more about later, doing more seminars and forums, really focusing this past year on membership and chapter development, fundraising, advocacy training, and activation. So that's kind of our roadmap going forward. And we'll talk about it when we get to 2018. But even in this year, that's how we focused our attention. So we'll talk more about our membership, drive, and fundraising, et cetera, as we go throughout the year. But it really started there as a leadership retreat in terms of getting on the same page on what we want to accomplish. And it was just a wonderful experience. And hopefully most of you have also seen by now that OWN was shooting there at the time, and they shot with us for a show called Checked In, and we distributed the clip of our experience there that they sent to us. Okay, so now April through June, we started planning for what we call our Mobiversary. So that's our anniversary, which is in July 7th, but we started the planning process and all the activities leading up to it in April through June. There was a membership pre-launch phase where we talked about how we want to attract members, and then the national push was throughout the summer. Next page. We also started a Mob United book club. Kamari, do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yes. We can you guys hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Great. So we have a book club. The first book that we read was The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. We were sharing posts. We were getting some engagement, and we would like to move forward in having another book that we're going to start reading shortly. And we would love if everyone could please join in on the engagement. We will start to possibly have calls for the book club so that we can have time on the calls to engage, talk about the book, talk about our likes, dislikes for the book, as well as talk about what the goals for the book are, because sometimes even when I read some of the books for authors, I read a recently and they actually had a call to action at the end of the book. So it would be great if we can get some more involvement in the book club. But you will hear soon from us what we will be reading next and how we will engage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kamari. So stay tuned for more about that and what the next book will be. In addition to prayer, we also started meditation calls. So the way that came about, Shara Hills, who's here, actually led a session for us at the leadership retreat at the end of March. That was wonderful, and wanted to extend that experience to the membership. So she started to do meditation calls in addition to the prayer calls that we already had. Next page. Also here you see, on the policy side, there was a state legislative campaign. The only thing I will highlight here is that, after the federal climate changed, because when we first started, President Obama was in office, and I think most people expected there to be a President Hillary Clinton. When that didn't happen, we knew the federal climate was going to be very challenging in terms of pushing through some of the legislation we'd identified that was pending in Congress. So our policy and advocacy team really shifted to a state legislative approach and identified initiatives at the state level that we could get behind, like Raise the Age in New York, the Sandra Bland Act in Texas, a whole criminal justice reform package in Louisiana. So there were a number of activities around that in terms of call to actions. We also had a Mob United Day at the state capitol in Georgia. We also went to the state capitol in Louisiana in partnership with other groups. I think it was Louisianans for Prison Alternatives. I don't know if Frankie's on and wants to talk more about this, but overall we had a number of initiatives at the state level, and that continues to be our primary approach given what's going on at the federal level. If anyone on policy wants to chime in, feel free at any time. We also had a number of calls to action around the Michigan 5, which was a group of 12 to 14-year-old boys who were walking home from playing basketball in their neighborhood and then were stopped by police suspected to be criminals because they fit the description. I put that in quotes. And they were held at gunpoint for 10 minutes on the ground, little, babies crying, screaming, who had done nothing wrong. So we really got behind that in a big way in terms of pushing the mayor and city commission in Grand Rapids, Michigan on that. And you see the graphic here. So we had the moms come on. We helped them with media training because they went on CNN Headline News. They came on one of our calls. And at the same time, we were pushing some of the other initiatives you see here as well. That was a really difficult time. As you see, that was probably our most difficult period of the year in terms of what was happening because we had the Michigan 5 incident. Who is that? Does the baby want to talk?
Yeah, Felicia, sorry.
Okay, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I was just going to say that for Michigan 5, too, we also worked with one of the moms to support her application to join one of the task force that the mayor was created. So in the wake of some of the attention that the situation was getting, the mayor and the city commission promised to work to improve the conditions and the policy of Grand Rapids Police Department. They created 2 task force, and we worked with one of the moms to support her application. Her application was denied. We also helped her appeal it, and that's just to call it out as another one of the ways in which we are trying to work in terms of just on activation on all levels. So, we do these national calls to action, but our goal is to really have engaged chapters so that we can work to support people on the ground as they become involved in their communities.
Right. Okay, thanks. And thanks to Teddy. Also, we had this very sad case of Jordan Edwards in Balch Springs, Texas. Oh, my son has found me. I've been hiding upstairs, so I might have a lot of noise soon. But 15-year-old Jordan Edwards was at, a regular teenage party in the suburbs of Dallas, and I don't remember all the details. Maybe somebody started fighting. The police were called, and basically him and his friends tried to leave the party, and while leaving, he was shot by a police rifle as a passenger in the car, having done nothing wrong. It's a really, really tragic case. So we reached out to the attorney, Lee Merritt, immediately, and went to the press conference and really, partnered with him to push for justice in this case, which is ongoing. And also we attended the Dallas mobs attended the candlelight vigil in May, in addition to being there for the press conference. Brandy, I think you were there for the press conference. Is there anything you want to add on this? I don't know if she's still with us, but Brandy Rand was there and broadcast the press conference live to our group. Next page. Another very, very sad case. Darius Smith in Arcadia, California, was killed by a U.S. Customs officer, and we really supported his family in a big way. What you see here is an image of his funeral program, which was designed by our creative services team, and also we had the programs shipped, to California so that it's just one less thing his mom had to worry about. No one expects to lose their 15-year-old son. So we just, in these instances, when we can, try to find a way to support and comfort the moms and the family, but also, in this case, do something concrete in terms of providing the funeral programs. And Vanessa was there for the service as well. Vanessa, is there anything you want to say here? Okay, I think people are tuning in and out. Okay, but just, overall, very sad time from April to June because a lot of things were happening back to back to back that we got involved in. Moving on to the summer, we really shifted to focusing on our Mobiversary and what we called our Woke Mom campaign. This was a campaign in honor of our first anniversary from the date of the Facebook group founded on July 7th. So we had a whole campaign called Woke Mom that kicked off at the Essence Festival and then with a series of meetings all over the country. So we'll go through a little bit of that. Next page. So we had meetups in about 18 cities. You see some of them listed here. And the whole purpose of this was to let moms around the country know more about the organization and to encourage them to join, to formally join, not just a Facebook group, but to join the actual organization. Also, we got great news in this time period because in June, we actually got our approval from the IRS that we're officially a 501c3 organization, so that was also a big deal. But this was really to get the word out, to get people together in person for the early stages of forming chapters and meeting more regularly in person. The next page, I believe you will see images from the Essence Festival where we exhibited for the first time. This was a really big deal because they don't allow a lot of new organizations to come, but they were, impressed and moved by our missions. We were able to set up a booth there. We met a lot of people there, like, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Iyanla Vanzant, just made a lot of great connections, and more importantly, was able to connect with a lot of moms in the area and those who came for the Essence Festival. We collected a lot of names, hundreds of names, and just had a lot of people coming over to our booth to talk about. Many people had heard of us or were in the group and were excited to meet us in person. Some people were not, but were moved by, the idea of the organization. So it was just a great time of connecting with lots of different people. If anyone else is on the call who would like to speak to that experience, feel free to chime in. Who is at Essence?
This is Chris Baldwin. The Essence experience was definitely a moving, emotional opportunity for us. I attended the event with other moms across the country that gathered, and we really had an opportunity to share our mission with boots on the ground in front of, and meet several of moms that were following our first Facebook page or were members, and really share their passion because at this time, like you said, DePelcio said, the country, was definitely going through a transformation, and moms just really wanted to tap into an organization, to come together as a community to lift their voices. Moms are concerned, and we really were very refreshing, the warm welcoming that we received. We had, several hundreds of moms that definitely wanted to get involved, as well as we're thankful that this organization was making strides to, like as the poster said, to protect them.
Thank you. It was also just another great time for us to connect in person as well. Those who were there together and, stayed in the house together was another great bonding experience in addition to the outreach to the community. During the summer, we also kicked off our summer legislative advocacy campaign. Congress was on recess, so our policy and advocacy team encouraged members to schedule meetings with their congressional representatives if they could. If they couldn't get a direct meeting, to go to town hall meetings they may be having in the area. So we had a number of members do that in various locations. Go to the next page, you see a number of people who met with their congressional leaders. This is Patty Garrett in Atlanta and Vanessa McCullers in LA, who met with their congressman and made their voices heard. I got to meet with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who is here in New York and has been in the news a lot recently, but I went to, met with reps in her office. Tammy Greer-Brown went to a town hall in Staten Island, and we also ended up being at a fundraiser, intimate fundraiser as well, where I got to meet her. So lots of activity there. You see some of the meetings here in Louisiana. Representative Cedric Richmond, who's chair of the CBC, Kirsten Gillibrand, Elijah Cummings, Johnny Isaacson, John Lewis, Kamala Harris, Brad Sherman, Karen Bass. So a lot of meetings happen throughout the summer, and that is really what this is all about on the advocacy side, really making our legislators aware of who we are and what our positions are and what we want them to consider when they're developing policy, and if policy is in motion, our position on that legislation. So we'll be doing a lot more of that, and Delicia will talk about that more later. Anything to add, Delicia?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
So one of the things I just wanted to highlight, which was really reassuring when we did these meetings, one of the common themes, particularly when folks went and met with their representatives in district, you see here we started first, we focused on CDC Congressional Black Caucus members just because it was also the month ahead of the CDC Legislative Conference, and I think it was overall a positive experience, but a number of the members just were really impressed with the group and were really positive about, the impact that they thought we could make. And so there's a number of members who said, I'd like to help in this way or that way, or folks also had more targeted advice for us, which was very reassuring. I think it was Representative Cummings who said, well, look, nothing's really going on at the federal level. You all need to really focus on your state and local elected representatives. He did have some advice about Congress as well, but it really just reassured us that we were on the right track. We made the right decision when we decided to have a state and local focus. He said that that's the best thing we could do because Congress was nothing is happening in Congress in terms of any ability to make any progressive reforms. So many of the members thought that was a good strategy.
Right. That's wonderful. Okay, next page. We also went to the Congressional Black Caucus Legislative Conference. This is our second year attending, but this year we actually co-hosted an event, which was a screening and panel discussion featuring short forms that were about the movement, focused on the Black Lives Matters movement. A number of the short films focused on specific incidents, fictional incidents with Black boys just trying to navigate the world and being harassed by police and wrongly accused. So it was a great way to set the stage for a discussion. So we watched, 4 to 5 films first, and then we had a panel discussion. I was actually the moderator of the panel discussion. We had representatives, former law enforcement official. We had someone from D.C. who was working on restorative justice in the local, I forgot what the attorney's office is called, but the, local D.C. area attorney's office who was really focused on restorative justice. We had a young woman who was a mom of 2 sons, who was really a community organizer and on her own, based on just seeing her children's experience, had started working on initiatives to curb violence, but also to improve police-community relations. So it was a really great event and discussion. It was a packed house at Busboys and Poets in D.C., and we partnered with an organization called Social Cinema, which is focused on highlighting films on different topics of social activism. So this one was focused on our area, justice for Black males, but they also do things like around AIDS and Alzheimer's, different topics. This was on our area, so it was a great partnership. In addition, while at the conference, we went to a number of seminars and met a number of people. There I met the president of NOBLE, which is the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. We've since followed up with them and are now working on a broader partnership with them. But we also met a number of congressional leaders. Anyone want to chime in about CBC?
This CBC, I guess, I would go back to the event we hosted. That was also another opportunity for our moms to kind of have an informal meet and greet. Moms that are on our page, that are members, to come out and participate in that and hear that panel discussion. So that was a great experience, and also we were an opportunity to recruit different moms and who may not have heard about our organization and our mission, when it was very well received. At the CBC, that was another opportunity for us to connect with moms, to share with them what we're doing as an organization and to urge them to get involved. It was interesting to attend the different sessions. If you haven't gone to one in prior years, please make plans to next year to join us. It's definitely going to be one, and I know one of the staple events the key events that our organization is going to continue to participate. I remember reflecting on that event and saying that the first year we went, we were just happy to be in the room, and this year we had an opportunity to actually host an event. And next year in 2018, I know that with the dynamic ladies that are in this organization and on the policy committee, we will host our own event at the convention center. So it's exciting if you haven't gone. And like I said, please consider to plan today to attend next year.
Thank you. Yes, it's a great conference and very informative. If you want to, I recorded a video. I did a live video at the end to do a recap, and I think it's on our YouTube page. So just some of the learnings we got out of the seminars there were really deep. So I would encourage you to check that out on our YouTube page if you haven't seen it. So that's the first 3 quarters. So I would say, like the summer, we were really focused on 501c4 work, advocacy, membership, legislative outreach, and then for this most recent quarter, we kind of shifted more to C3, 501c3. So starting with the fundraising drive for the 501c3, which is still underway, we really focus because you have to, since there are 2 different organizations, you can't commingle the money. So each organization needs its own funds. So the 501c4 is funded by membership dues and merchandise a little bit. We don't make that much money off merchandise, but membership dues primarily, and then the 501c3 will be donations primarily. We're also applying for a number of grants. We haven't gotten any yet, but we're working on it. So grants and donations. So our fundraising drive is underway for the 501c3. Next page. We also had our Fall into Self-Care campaign, which just wrapped up. Nashiva Star, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You want to talk about Fall into Self-Care?
Yes, I do. So our Fall into Self-Care campaign was an initiative just to allow us to take some time for ourselves to really end the year focusing on ourselves, reflecting on ourselves. So we really took the meditation calls and the prayer calls to the next level. We were really blessed to have so much participation on both. We went Facebook Live quite a few times and have since had thousands of members view the prayer calls and the meditation calls, which we're really excited about. So as a result, we will be continuing our Facebook call live for our prayer calls on Mondays every other week, switching between Eastern and Pacific time zones. So I want to encourage you guys, if you're interested, to just go on to our events section on Facebook and you'll be able to access the information. In addition, that prayer sheet that I've told you about, we continue to post that on our Mob United site. So again, I know that Tasha spoke about it in the beginning. If you're not a member, I want to encourage you to join so you can definitely have access to that. You get a little bit of a prelude of what we're going to be looking at for the month. I know that Juwan and Kathy have already posted December's, and we will be posting January's pretty soon. The meditation calls are on Wednesday, and as the pastor said, Shira Hill is our meditation guru, and we also are really excited that those calls have had a lot more participation. The meditation calls will switch between some of them being live and some of them not being live, just in honor of the fact that sometimes meditation is something that works best when it's either video footage or if it's not something that people are participating in while they're when it's a live feed. So that sometimes works better if it's something that's not right in your face. We did a coloring, I don't want to say coloring contest, but we did do a coloring assignment, so to speak, just to work on mental self-care, which allowed us the opportunity to color in our Moms of Black Boys United logo, which was in black and white, using our colors. So I know Amy participated in that. I myself participated. I know a few other members took the time to participate in that. That was exciting. We had a few members inspire each other to take care of ourselves physically by posting themselves doing different workouts. I had some video of myself running around a track in my house. I know that Telsha posted some videos. Chris Baldwin and Brandy Rand posted videos of themselves. So we really were focusing on the aspect of ourselves that lends itself to being moms of Black boys. And so the Fall into Self-Care campaign is something we really, I think that was a very successful thing, and it's going to allow us to continue to look at health and wellness as one of the things that we want to continue to make a priority for ourselves. So that's pretty much it. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Yes, it was a great campaign at the right time of the year. We also, as many of you know, did a partnership with the Conscious Kid Library to curate a list of positive books for Black boys. Kamari, do you want to talk more about this, and especially talk about the list, but highlight what's happening this Sunday?
Yes. Thank you so much. You guys can hear me? Oh.
Yes.
Can you guys hear? Okay, thank you. All right. So, yes, so we're very excited about this initiative. We are working with Conscious Kid Library. We put out the book list, which was sent out this week, and we are having a live Facebook reading tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Please join in on this reading. Solo Barnes, the author's son. The author is Derek Barnes. His son, Solo Barnes, will be doing the reading tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. So please join in. Please ask your friends to join in. Please post the post that Brandy sent again to let folks know about the reading. I'm trying to get more people. Actually, I'm emailing Conscious Kid right now. So please let us know if you have any questions about this. The book list, if you'd like to join in, there's a link on the end of the post that if you wanted to become a member of the Conscious Kid Library, where you would have them sent to your home, or if you just wanted to use access to the list to get some books for your sons or members of your families or friends. So thank you so much, ladies. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a really great call tomorrow night. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Also, before moving in this, we also did a partnership, I don't know if that's in here, with Black Minds Matters, which is a course that was started by a professor at San Diego State, Dr. Luke Wood, and it was an 8-week course that basically highlighted the Black male experience in the educational system all the way through, from preschool through university, and showed parallels with how they are treated in the criminal justice system. So there were a number of speakers week to week. Vanessa or Kamari, do you want to chime in on this a little bit? Because it was a great partnership and it just ended.
Yes, this is Kamari again. It was a wonderful course. You guys can have access to it if you weren't able to join on the Monday evenings, or if you weren't able to join on the forums that I did on Wednesday evenings at 9:30. But you can definitely check the J. Luke Wood YouTube page, and you can look at every course topic from week 1 to week 8. It ended this week, and it was a really great course. There was a lot of great presenters, folks who have been doing the work for the past 20, 30 years. Dr. Kunjufu was one of the presenters. Iyasa Shabazz is one of the presenters. Lee Merritt, who came on one of our calls, is one of the presenters. And it was very eye-opening because, of course, we already know that our children are targeted. But to hear the research behind it, and research that has been going on for years, that is still going on now, is amazing. So it was really great to hear so many folks that are behind this, and to know that we have so much support behind our mission to move ourselves forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So now shifting to 501c4 for this quarter, the big push is continuing chapter development. So this page launched on our site about the chapter development roadmap. We hosted advocacy training and pink postcard parties, which we'll talk about it a little more in a minute. But Lisa, if you can just talk about chapter development and where we are now in terms of recruiting chapter leaders.
Hi. Okay. As Natasha just stated, we are in the process of forming our chapters. We've had chapters in the past, and we still have those chapters, but we're now in the process of looking for city leaders for those particular chapters. So far, we've gotten a few questionnaires completed for the city leads. For this, so we'll be going through them and reaching back out to folks regarding those. If you're interested in becoming a city leader, please go out to our Mom United website. This is the page that you will find the link to go and fill out the form for. It's about 13, 14 questions, really easy questions. just asking you certain things. So if you were interested in being a leader for your city, we would greatly appreciate it. There are some requirements, which we went over that last week, but I can definitely share those with you again if you need it to be. That's it.
Yeah, and just to top line it, the basic requirements that you have to host a minimum of 4 meetings per year, 1 per quarter, and we have guidelines on what those are. One is the Mother-Son MLK Day, one is an advocacy event of some sort, one is honoring our mob anniversary, and then something else that the chapter determines. You can also choose to meet more often. You can meet monthly, but to stay in compliance, so to speak, a minimum of 4 meetings per year. And we also expect you to be the spokesperson for your area, and we'll provide training around that, but also like the point person on advocacy pushes and initiatives where we're getting behind legislation or activating around a case in your area. We expect you to step up and mobilize moms around that and be the leader of it. So in a nutshell, that's it. But as Lisa said, please go to the site and feel free to reach out to her with any additional questions. So just highlighting a few of the things we did on the next page, we hosted pink postcard parties and advocacy training. So first, advocacy training was a session just to give people a very baseline understanding of what do we mean when we say advocacy, so Advocacy 101. And then we got together and wrote postcards to our legislators, and everyone was encouraged to write to someone at the local level who represents them, the state level, and the federal level. And you see some of the images here from some of the pink postcard parties that were hosted in various cities. And we'll be doing more of that. This one was really just to introduce the organization to legislators, to say who we are collectively and individually if there are any personal issues for you. But going forward, we'll be using this as one of our tactics to push in terms of legislative pushes as well. And we'll all be writing about the same thing. Okay. Next, we can just flip through these. We'll first go to the next page, and you see a list of many of the speakers we had. So we had the virtual vision board parties we'll send across OTT. We had the Clarion Call presentation, which was really about, really breaking down the school to prison pipeline with Dr. Janice Liggins, who's the founder of Clarion Call. We had a live session with Georgia State Representative Doreen Carter. We had the author of Mama, Have You Heard the News, a children's book on the same week. We had Moms of the Michigan 5 case that we talked about, Sonia Gregg, who's a member. We had civil rights attorney Lee Merritt. We had retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey, who's a retired law enforcement officer, but also a mom of 4 sons. So she gave great perspective. We had Booker G's and Jason Davis, who had both experienced the criminal justice system from different angles, being incarcerated, but also working within the system. We had a great call with Baton Rouge Mayor Sharon Weston Broom, who we had a chance to meet at the Essence Festival, and then she came on as a speaker on our call. We had a session with Officer Nakia Jones, who most people remember spoke out right after the killings of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile very passionately and was reprimanded as a police officer in Ohio. But she's also a mom of sons, and she gave us great perspective as well. We had a session with Dr. Rosemarie Allen, who's working on a study that we're partnering with her on preschool suspensions. And we had 2 sessions from the Black Minds Matters course with Dr. Luke Wood and Dr. Adara Wood, really boiling down some of their insights from the course that's relevant for our membership. And then we had several sessions with our very own Coach Kamari on bullying, discussing racial tensions in schools, and preparing our kids for the school year. So, more than 12 sessions throughout the year, and you just see some of the images of our speakers here. Beth, you can just flip through these quickly. So with that, we will shift to 2018, and we're going to kick it off by starting to talk about volunteer needs. I would say that more than anything right now, probably just as much as funding, we need more volunteers because we have a very small group of people who've been dedicated for a long time. And, we're facing a bit of attrition, a bit of burnout. It's been a year and a half at this point. So we really need some fresh energy and fresh blood, so to speak, of people who are committed to the mission. We don't need, take over your whole life, but who can commit to some subset of work that helps us move the ball forward. And that's really the only way this is going to expand and grow. So, Chris, do you want to talk about some of the volunteer needs and opportunities? Chris?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. One of the, as DePelcia said, we've had a dynamic year and a half. Just to recap, I know from a standpoint, it's really been amazing what the core group of moms and have been able to accomplish. But to get the recharge for the new year, we have opportunities in all committees and areas. As I always tell moms, it's important to just go with your passion or go with your W-2. And going with your W-2 is maybe there's some professional training you have or what you do in your day-to-day job opportunity that you can transition those skills to Mob United. And what we're looking for is people to participate in our policy committee, rather from a research standpoint with legislative research or strategic benchmarking, really looking at organizations similar to ours and how they are operating from a policy standpoint, as well as how we can implement some of those best practices in our group. In policy, as you know, we always need writers, people that can write communication pieces on policies, call to actions when necessary, or letters to our legislators or other officials that we really want to let them know that the decisions that they're making has impacted our boys. Next is the call center. We've need countless members to join with the call center. Unfortunately, the state of our country right now with our boys, there's always infractions going on, and we want to make sure that we have boots on the ground. It's a virtual call center, so, you don't have to really commit to a specific number of hours or days. Oftentimes, it's one call, one email, it'll take 1 minute a day. So we need people to participate with the call center as well as project leaders. Next is in our communication team. We are looking for people to join our social team, creative services, media relations, to lead and support our content development aspects of communication, as well as to help create op-ed creations. We want to lift our voice. We want to give the perspective of the moms. And the moms that are on our page, they're looking for us to be the advocates and to be ambassadors to the community, to the world, to news outlets when it comes to issues that concern our boys. Next is in education. As you can see from DePelcia's earlier slides, there's a lot that's going on with Kamari and the Education Committee. So community outreach is something that we're want to continue to do, as well as we need to have other moms to participate from law enforcement, as well as school partnerships that we're looking to bridge those gaps and make sure that we have a seat at the table in those platforms. Also, we're looking to continue to put out more seminars, develop more content that moms can use as resource, because our biggest part of our mission is to continue to be a resource for moms. And if you have those skill sets, definitely. If you're a teacher, oftentimes, we have moms that, have children who are receiving services, or moms are just not sure how to get services. So if you work in the education system, if you're a teacher or an administrator in education, we can definitely use your skill set. Next is in terms of self-care team with Yeshiva Star and all the host of other leaders in that group. As you can see, we had a phenomenal 2017, so we need more moms to help with that, from the prayer leaders to the meditation committee, as well as moms to help with special need advocates. If you work in social work, if you're a social worker, or if you have a knowledge base on areas of how we can provide advocacy, information, resources, and really be someone that could be a go-to person to help out with our special needs moms. And next is our incarcerated sons. We have moms that have sons that are incarcerated, and they are really confused in how to support their sons or advocate for their sons in the criminal justice system. So if that is an area that you work in, get involved. And I think it's also important if you are a mom who are working in mental health. We've been seeing that a lot on our page, as well as, moms that are just wanting to, post messages and just really wanting to make sure we have the right people to assist them. So if you work in mental health, and this may not be areas, as I've gone over with policy, communication, education, and self-care, those may not be your areas of expertise, but we're asking moms to tap into their sister circle, tap into your own personal network of contacts, and urge those people to get involved. The next area is in fundraising. We are, as DePelcio mentioned, there's two areas that are really important, is the people. Money is the other part that's important. We're bringing moms to join us and members. We're asking for moms to get involved, but we also need to continue to press the importance of building our revenues as an organization, because building our revenues will give us an opportunity to offer more. So grant writers are needed, people who can help research grants, and people to do project leadership on the fundraising side of the organization. You saw some campaigns that came out this year with that were launched. Giving Tuesday, most recent, as well as our annual fundraising drive. We want to make sure that we are doing innovative projects. Just imagine in next year, instead of having, people have the ideal of the ice bucket challenge trending, for us to have a Mob United fundraiser campaign trending on social. So that's something, if you have those skill sets, or if you know moms in your sister circle, please have them get involved. Next is in terms of licensing and merchandising. We do have our own online store. We opened our online store, which was amazing. Developed new product around our anniversary, the whole Mobiversary team, the Woke Mom campaign that had product, merchandising to complement it. It was definitely crafted out of love and passion by a core group of moms, but we need to keep that trending to next year. It's all about what's next year. So, our anniversary is going to be coming again in July 2018. So new merchandise and continue to grow that platform. We do have moms that are working in that, but we definitely need additional resources in the online store and, like I said, licensing and merchandising. Chapter development. You heard from Lisa in terms of all the great work that chapter development did last year and the core moms that are working in that team. So we're recruiting for city and state captains. And, if you know moms that are activists in your city, in your town, and they're looking for ways to get involved, this may be, a niche for them to get involved. DePelcio gave the requirements, so please consider to sign up for that. And lastly is technology. We are going to, as our meeting request mentioned, we've gone from bi-weekly calls. We're in the new year, we're going to monthly calls, but if you have technical skills and are interested in helping us with our monthly calls, the technology side of it, or just helping with, as you know, we launched this year a database. So we have an awesome chair of technology. Beth has been dynamic, but definitely additional resources to help, because we are looking to continue to expand and utilizing technology to advocate for our boys. If you did not see anything, or if you didn't hear anything that I've covered in terms of volunteering, please reach out to me. You can inbox me or you can email me at chris@mobunited.org. If you are interested, and if you've already signed up for volunteers, we're hoping to get you to go to mobunited.org/volunteer, and there you can register. That would be the first step. The second step is once you register, then you will be contacted about your interests in areas that you're looking in, and then you would be enrolled, and we would register you for one of our quarterly volunteer orientations and get you connected with the appropriate committee. Many of the committees have monthly or weekly calls, so you definitely want to get you connected with them. So again, go to mobunited.org/volunteers. Or you can go to our website, mobunited.org, and click down the drop-down arrow to take action. And there is a link to volunteer. But that's going to be very pivotal in a new year, is for moms to get involved. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's Vanessa. I just want to add a quick note to what Chris just shared about the need for volunteers. It's not very talked about very often, but I'll go out on a limb and say that communications is the life beat for the organization. We have every single program that has come out goes through communications in terms of putting together presentations, in terms of booking the speakers, in terms of just creating partnerships. So what I'd really like to ask is if anyone has any experience in any of those areas, or if you're just a great communicator, or if you've got good admin skills, or if you've got great relationships, please reach out to us. I'm sure that there is an area where we can utilize you, whether it's heading up a committee or just being a resource to us. It would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. If there's anyone else, I know we have Delisa on the phone, Kamari, Nishiva Star, Lisa. Those are some of the ladies that are the committee leads for those committees. If you have anything else to add, please share just an additional insight on your committees. That would be great.
Hey, Chris, this is Alicia.
Again. Go to Alicia, go.
Go ahead. Or do you want me to go?
Go ahead, Alicia. You go there.
No, just really quickly, I wanted to say, some of our most active and I would say awesome and high contributing members of policy and advocacy are people who don't have policy backgrounds. So I would just urge folks, if you don't have to have a policy background or a legal background. Some of the best advocates are people who are passionate and are moved to action. We can provide the training and any additional support, but really we just need boots on the ground to help us push out a lot of content and things like that. So please don't be intimidated by policy. You don't have to be a policy expert to be a volunteer.
Okay, Shiva Star.
Yes, ladies, I just want to ask that if anyone is interested in just, we have been very successful with our prayer calls for Christian faith observers, and we would like to build those same sort of communities for our Muslim faith observers and our Jewish faith observers. So if you are of that faith or you can help us to build that, please definitely reach out to me at myshivastar@mobunited.org or healwell@mobunited.org. And in addition, if you are like, healthcare is kind of cool and important, and I'd like to sort of be a part of that, to have some great ideas, we continue to build that team as well. So please reach out to me. Thank you.
Hi, ladies. Can you hear me? It's Kamari. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you. So for the Education Committee, honestly, we have been connecting with school districts and also police departments to possibly offer some cultural diversity, cultural awareness, cultural sensitivity trainings. So if you are interested or you know of a school district that's nearby you or your school district yourself, please connect with me so I can possibly help you navigate the system, because sometimes moms feel really intimidated to go to like a PTO meeting, or they sometimes don't want to go to board meetings. But if we have boots on the ground and we have folks that are in these areas that need these trainings and workshops, it will be so much easier to connect, because we've connected with so many different districts and police departments that don't always respond. But if we have somebody in that area that can go to the place and speak with someone or speak to the person that we have a contact name for, it would be really great. So if you could just connect with me at Mob Connections at mobunited.org, so that we can talk about how we can possibly get more folks to engage with us so that we can provide some training so that we can save our boys. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so in the interest of time, we're going to move on to 2018. So 2018 goals, we're going to break it up by 501c3 and C4. I'll speak to 501c3 quickly, then toss it to Delicia. But overall, what I will say is 2018, so if 2017 and the end of 16 was about getting the organization established and we had to get incorporated, we had to launch our membership platform, we had to formally launch membership. There was a lot to figure out around that legally. We had to set up bank accounts, like actually creating the infrastructure of the organization. 2018, I would say, is about developing programmatic consistency and execution. So we have our roadmap that we developed at the retreat that we've been on, but in 2018, we really want to focus on doing not necessarily more, but a few things really well so that people know what this organization is about and what we provide and want to be known for. And having that consistency will help us, one, to have an identity, but also with funders who want to see, like, what do you do with regularity. So here are a few things. We already mentioned we're going to be going monthly with these calls starting the new year, so they'll be the second Saturday of each month, and they will all be monthly webinars. So that will mean we'll have a guest speaker most of the time. Maybe not always. There may be times we just want to talk about a themed topic, but there'll be monthly webinars on some topic, most often with a speaker. We also want to have, as chapters are developed, more in-person seminars. So we've done a few here and there. I know we had a Know Your Rights seminar in Staten Island. We've done things in Baton Rouge. But we want to have regular seminars. So the goal is to have at least 4, now my son is coming, okay, at least 4 local seminars in different cities. So I'm asking chapter leaders, once they're in place, to step up and volunteer to organize these. We already have reached out to Noble, who has a turnkey session that they do on, policing in the community. We can add to that. We can tailor it and bring in whoever we want to have our own discussion. So we want to do that. We can have screenings, but in person, really getting out of the community and touching people in person is something we want to do more in 2018. We also want to have a video-based image campaign. We've had a lot of beautiful graphics. If you saw the Protect Them campaign this year around our fundraising drive, beautiful graphics with statistics that were really compelling. We want to move more into video-based image campaigns. We also want to continue building the Mob Connections resource database. I don't know if Kim Alexander is on. She's heading this up, but Kamari talked about the Mob Connections program in terms of the Auntie program and connecting moms and sons who are away for college. But the vision for Mob Connections is much broader than that. We want to have an entire database so that whatever situation you or your sons find yourself in, your sons find themselves in, you can come to us and say, I need to find an attorney, I need to find a mental health professional, I need to find an educational advocate, whatever the situation may be. We want to have a database of people around the country who we can refer you to and help you navigate that situation in terms of how to handle it. So we're actively building that right now. We're at the early stages. It's going to be a long-term project, but we're building that resource database. We'll also Who is this? I think someone may have come off of mute accidentally. But we also want to continue to partner on research studies like the preschool suspension study and do partnerships like the ones we did with Black Minds Matter. Those are more opportunistic as they come up. And another thing that came up this year is sensitivity training. So as our call center was reaching out about various cases, we often got the response, surprisingly, from police departments and other agencies like school boards, like that they don't know how to deal with these issues. They don't get a lot of training on sensitivity in terms of diversity, in terms of mental health, and how to deal with different situations. So we want to try to develop an expertise about that. We actually sent a proposal to a school district in New Hampshire for that after a boy was lynched, I believe, and bullied. So police departments have asked for it, so that's something we want to develop as well. So high level, though, webinars, image campaigns, resource database, and research are the things we're going to be focused on next year, but really trying to do it consistently and really getting out more in the community in person. So with that, I will turn it over to Delicia because we don't have a lot of time left.
Sure. So you've already seen throughout the presentation what we've done in 2017, and here's just a quick just high-level snapshot of all the ways in which our policy and advocacy team have either supported work or driven direct content. But in terms of 20, and this is a more detailed snapshot, so we've done a lot that we should be. This is what I've done advocacy almost my entire career, and this is what professional organizations with full-time employees do. So I do feel we should feel really good about all that we've accomplished on both sides of the organization. We've done a lot. So we'll build on that in 2018, continuing to do much of the same. So one of the keys to being effective in the policy and advocacy space, as Dipelsha said, we need to move now into having consistent focus and executing on the plans that we have developed. We need to become known, people know without saying more than the names. We want to be one of those organizations like ACLU, NAACP. So when you hear Mob United for Social Change or Mob United, people say, oh, that's the group that does that. So 2018 is really focused on a lot of the same things that we did this year, and drilling down, hoping to have more reach locally. So instead of doing more, we're not going to double like the different kinds of campaigns. We're just going to continue to build on what we've done and try to secure some wins, particularly at the state and local level, because that's really what's possible. So we'll kick off the beginning of the year again with our state legislative campaigns. We've been working on a legislative platform, key state focus, as has been previously mentioned. We'll continue some national advocacy, but this will be similar to last year along the lines of doing the congressional recess and town hall meetings. There's some organizational partnerships that will move along most likely with ACLU, LPA, which is the Louisiana for Prison Alternatives, I believe is what they're called. But there are a few organizations with whom we have started to work this year that we will continue to work with to advance our policy work. We'll continue to do the organizational statements and calls to action. And then I would say the only additional pieces are these next two, where next year is a midterm election, and we want to use that opportunity to, throughout the year as the different elections are coming up, layer on to our current work some themes around electoral engagement. So we'll start the year with some voter registration activities. Then we'll do some education and engagement activities. For those of you on prior calls, specifically, we're going to be working on a candidate questionnaire and distributing that throughout our membership, specifically through the chapters. And then around the actual midterm elections, although there will be different elections ongoing throughout the year, we're going to try and partner with some organizations to do a GOTV, Get Out the Vote push. So that's sort of looking ahead. Much of this work is only going to be possible and successful if we have strong chapters to help us execute. So we're going to be working closely with new leads to provide training on a quarterly basis to make sure that people have the skills to execute on our agenda, but also know what our agenda is and can speak directly to it and to lead their local groups on the ground. So this is pretty much what we have lined up for 2018. More of the same, but we're going to continue to be effective. And that's all for the C4 advocacy work.
Thank you so much, Celicia. So as you can see, we've been very busy. Another thing that we neglected to mention is that we also launched our newsletter, which has been coming out pretty much monthly, and that gives everyone a complete overview of what we've been up to on an ongoing basis. I believe CK is on. Do you want to speak to the newsletter quickly?
Hi, yeah. The newsletter we're going to have another issue coming out in December. Tiffany, the publisher of the newsletter, is amazing. We could use volunteers in terms of writers, editors, and also people who maybe are good at uploading the information to uploading. I don't even know how to use the word, so obviously I'm not good at uploading the newsletter. And yeah, we look forward to doing more of it in 2018.
Thank you. And a lot of work goes into that newsletter, so please read it. The most current issue is always available on our site and a drop down on the homepage. So please check that out because you can get some good information there. And Beth just posted it in chat. So unfortunately, we're out of time. I don't know if anyone has any burning questions. Please feel free to ask now, questions or comments. And to do that, you have to unmute yourself by pressing *6. Anyone? Okay. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining. We want you to have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll be back in the new year. So everyone, hopefully.
I'm sorry. Hello. I have one question.
Yes.
Hello.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was trying to unmute. This is Erica again from Louisiana, and I know we've talked a lot about the chapters, within the local chapters, and I was just wondering, is there a lead chapter set up in Louisiana, and if so, who would be that contact person? Because I definitely want to be involved on the state level. I know you guys have done some things in Louisiana already, so I'm assuming there must be a leader in place, and I was just wondering who that person was. And if
right.
Their contact information.
Hi, Erica. Yeah, we'll find out what area Erica was from. If she's from Baton Rouge, then we can definitely connect you with to Devon and Frankie.
Okay.
So, Erica, what are you in for? Are you from Baton Rouge?
Actually, I'm from St. James. I'm just going to tell you my parish. I live in St. Charles Parish, but I'm originally from St. James, so that's about 45 minutes outside of Baton Rouge. I'm in the middle of Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And I am also in the education field. I'm a director of school improvement, and I used to be a principal for about 10 years. So, and, you know, I just think that this is an awesome organization. I would like to try to assist with our state chapter.
Wonderful. So I think Frankie is probably the best person to connect with, Frankie George Robertson, who's in Baton Rouge, because that's the most active chapter we have right now in Louisiana.
Frankie George Robertson.
Okay. Yes, and I think Frankie's on the call, but if not, email Lisa at chapters@mobunited.org just to make sure you get connected. And more importantly, if you haven't already...
Lisa at Mob United?
Yeah, Lisa at mobunited.org. And if you haven't already joined, if you go on our website and join, you'll automatically add it to the Louisiana chapter.
I know I've joined the Facebook page, but I don't know if I'm on the Louisiana chapter yet. But
yeah, not the Facebook page, the organization. So you have to go to our website at mobunited.org/join.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's great. And you also need to join the Education and Engagement Committee.
Yes, Kamari will love you.
Yes. Okay. So with that, we always try to end on time. Is there one more burning question?
I just wanted to add melaninOrigins.com to the list of Black publishers author book things.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. We'll be back the second Saturday in January, and everyone, please continue to plan your MLK Day activities and report back to Lisa. Yeshiva Star, do you want to wrap us up?
I'll take us home. Thank you so much, Natasha. So since this is our last call for the year, and ladies, I want to encourage you to think of any affirmations that you want to reestablish to commit to the organization and also keeping in mind that this is you committing to yourself and to your son and to other sons who are Black sons, our Black sons. So we're going to have a moment of silence. It's going to be very briefly, and Vanessa McCullough, our chair of communications, suggested it as a way to just connect with the mission, remind us of why we're doing this, remind us of those lives that have been lost, remind us of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling, who were really the Telsha's impetus for starting the organization, and just really take a moment and just honor the work that we have done, the work that we will do, and sisterhood of moms of Black boys that you have become a part of or that we are a part of. So our moment of silence begins with Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your year, and we look forward to hearing from all of you in 2018. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good day, ladies. Bye.